Thank you for joining us for our first episode of Com Class with Mr. Quinn. I am your instructor, Mr. Pierre Quinn, and it is my mission on this journey to help you become a more confident and more credible communicator. So for our first episode, we really need to start at the basics. Understanding the basics of communication. It's on these building blocks that will create the foundation for the rest of our course. So let's ask the basic question. What is communication and what does it mean to communicate? I'm sure we all have an idea, or maybe we don't even have an idea of what it means to communicate. Here is a typical dictionary definition or definition that can be found in a lot of communication textbooks. It says, communication is the simultaneous sharing and creating of meaning through symbolic interaction. The simultaneous sharing and creating of meaning through symbolic interaction. And that basically means that we develop an understanding of people and our surroundings based on the symbols that we use. For example, writing is a form of communication, one of the most basic forms of communication. If you want to tell someone how you feel, or if you want to lodge a complaint, or if you want to tell a story, one of the most fundamental ways that we do that is by writing it down. And the words that we use, the letters that we put together, depending on our particular language, is a form of communication. But not only writing, talking, probably our most basic form of communication, talking, popularized now by the cell phone. As you walk down the street or as you're in the store or wherever you're going, chances are you're going to see someone on a cell phone. So when we think of communication, a lot of times we think of writing and we think of talking, but also facial expressions. Facial expressions are a form of communication. It's a form of sharing symbols to create meaning. And the symbol that you're using is how you feel being projected through your face. So clearly in this photograph, the person feels happy, or they feel cozy, or they feel confident. Facial expressions are another form of communication. Then there's also body language. This person, by their body language, is either showing that they're upset or depressed or overwhelmed. And some scholars say that 80 to 90% of the communication that's transmitted, or the meanings that are created, are through nonverbal communication, and body language has a great deal to do with that. Also, the clothing that we wear, what we choose to put on at a particular time, communicates a particular message. This person, we could say they're going to a job interview, or they're an executive. We have these pictures or connotations in our mind. If someone is a professional or an executive, how they're supposed to dress, and how they dress communicates certain ideas. For example, black is a classic color that executives wear. Preachers wear black. It's usually a symbol or a clothing color associated with power. So what we wear, it communicates a message as well. So these are the symbols that we typically use if we want to communicate idea. We communicate our symbols through talking, through facial expressions, through body language, through style of dress, and also through writing. Now, those are symbols, and the symbols that we use are dependent upon the types of communication that we're entering in. So each specific situation incurs or requests or demands the use of different types of symbols. For example, intrapersonal communication is the conversations that you have with yourself. Now, people used to say when they're trying to be funny, it's not bad when you talk to yourself. It's only bad when you answer yourself. But if you think about it intrapersonally, you're having conversations, or you're trying to develop meanings or create understanding with yourself. And we do this at all times of day. For example, when you wake up in the morning, you're asking yourself, well, what do I want to eat for breakfast? What do I want to put on today? What time should I leave for lunch? Am I forgetting anything? Or what time should I leave for breakfast? Am I forgetting anything as I start my day? What's my to-do list? What's important today? Who am I trying to avoid today? These are all conversations that we're having with ourselves. Now, a lot of our communication also occurs interpersonally. And interpersonally is the communication, it's the sharing of meaning and symbols between two or more individuals. Now, if it's particularly two individuals, it's a communication in a dyad or dyadic communication. Wow, it was a struggle to get that one out. Dyadic communication. But also, when we think interpersonally, we're communicating in groups. So it's a conversation or communication exchange between three or more individuals. Well, that's intrapersonal communication. There's interpersonal communication. There's also public communication. And public communication usually constitutes one person talking, as is the case in a lecture or speech or sermon, and then a whole group of individuals listening, as you can see from the seats in the lecture hall in the picture in front of you. In public communication, usually there's not a lot of feedback in between the speaker or the one sending the message and those receiving the message. But public communication differs greatly from mass communication. When we refer to mass communication, we're talking about radio, we're talking about television, we're talking about programming, which in many cases, the person sending the message, as in this case a news anchor or it could be a radio show host, doesn't even know or see the people that they're communicating with. Well, on radio shows it's different because people can call in, but when you think of a news show or news magazine, the person communicating is speaking into a camera with a teleprompter, and if there are no other guests on the show, that person can't really even tell that you're there tuning into the program. They're just projecting the message to you and to thousands or even millions of individuals at the same time. Now, there's also another form of communication that I want to chat about for a few minutes. It's mediated communication and social media. Mediated communication is communication that takes place between two technological devices or between two computer-like devices. So when you think of text messaging is mediated communication. It's taking place between two electronic devices. A text message is sent from one phone and it's received on another phone, and that's how the exchange occurs. And then there's also social media, and I put the picture of the iPhones and the iPad, sorry to my Android users, but the iPhone and the iPad on the screen because a lot of our use of social media is through our mobile devices, through our iPads and our iPhones and our Galaxy tabs or whatever Android devices that we may have. Now, social media has really changed the communication landscape, and some of the traditional rules that govern communication, well, more specifically face-to-face communication, some of those traditional rules are changed or shifted or altered or played out differently when you think of communicating through social media, when you think of tweeting or Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest or Instagram or any of these other tools. And it seems like a new social media platform is developing every other day or every other month. They're developing so quickly. Vine is a new one. It's just happening so rapidly, and it's hard to keep up.